Hey, fellow readers, I'm Stephanie,
And I'm Jay.
and this is Hathaway Ever After.
Two of you asked for it, so you got it.
Bookshelf
Bookshelf
Tour!
tour!
Ta-da!
So here we are at our fiction side of the fiction fantasy book wall. And little backstory to these shelves. When we were first married, we had separate shelves for our books, but as time goes on, the bookshelves grow, or
Like
the
our
books
love.
inside them grow. Yeah, exactly. So um, we had to come up with this for our anniversary this year. We put these shelves up. We took a book trip, or I say took a book trip. We did a book trip here in Richmond,
Yeah.
where we visited a lot of the bookstores, got something from each one. So that was really fun
Yeah.
for our anniversary. So this is the result.
Well, and we didn't put these up so much as Jay put these up, and I think
Oh,
I sat on the bed drinking
yeah,
wine, and
you helped
I
in a way.
helped. I helped in a
Yeah,
way. I think I used my like book stamper and like was going through my books and doing that.
cool.
But Jay has there's also an app, I should note,
Right. There's
that
always an app.
yes, anytime a book comes in this house, I just hand it over to Jay and he logs it in our app.
Right? So everything's
Yeah.
cataloged, everything's in order. But this is,
Alphabetical.
yeah, alphabetical, but just all fiction. So we don't have
Yes.
any differentiating between thrillers and romance. It's all just put together. That was the best way that we found to do it. So I guess we've never done a bookshelf tour before, so we're just gonna kind of talk
Enjoy.
about, yeah, enjoy it. Talk about a few of the ones that or books that and authors that we really love. So we'll start with Frederick Bachman. We both enjoy his work, and I started with Beartown. I'm a huge hockey fan, so that one really hit for me. And ever since then, we've just been big fans. Leading up to you reading My Friends, which I still haven't read
Yes.
yet this year,
That
and
might
you
be
loved it.
my read for you next year. We'll see.
Yeah, it's on my list anyway, so I
Yeah.
might just read it
Yeah.
anyway. But um, we'll skip some of these, I guess, and just go to kind of more of our favorites and our kind of bigger
Yeah.
sections or and whatnot. So I believe you have one
Oh
here
yes,
that you would
yes.
like
Thank
to.
you for pulling it out. Kristen Hanna, and that's so pretty. The pages on it. I love a sprayed edge. But she is one of my all time favorite authors, and that book in particular, The Nightingale, is probably one or two of my entire book list. Always a book that I will recommend to anybody who likes historical fiction, which is typically what Kristen Hanna writes. But top tier book for me for sure.
Awesome.
And then, sorry, Emily Henry, switching to a completely different genre, which is typically beach reads, rom coms. Emily Henry also for me. I will read everything that she writes and probably recommend that for anybody looking for a summer read.
All right. We'll move up here to an author that I've just recently gotten into, and that's Stephen Graham Jones. Read The Buffalo Hunter last week and really loved it. Um, so I went out and, of course, as book collections do, since I love that book, and I went ahead and bought two more from him, and that's kind of how books tend to multiply.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so we'll go on to we'll edit this out, and so here we are with the big chunk of, as you can see, of this bookshelf is Stephen King, and I think I talked a little bit about it in our previous video that I would say overall he's my favorite author. I obviously have a ton of his work, but still, crazily enough, that's not probably even half of it, if I had to guess. So I still have a bunch to read, but love Stephen King. And yeah, let's move on
There's some
to what
sprayed
else we
edges in
got
there
next.
too. Oh no, that's just a
No, that's
box.
just a collect. Yeah, that's a
Got excited.
collection. Yeah.
Um, Also, what you probably can't see in your video is
Yes.
our bottom shelf. There are some books on the bottom shelf. There are some rom coms and things like that, but it's typically where our books go to die, or as Jay
Well,
likes
just these two. Yeah,
to
this
deem
is
it.
yeah,
It's
these
like
two right here. This is book purgatory, and that's where we haven't really committed to putting them to the shelf, or we don't know if we want to get them out. We just haven't quite
we have a
figured it
hard
out yet.
time.
So
Hard time letting go.
they kind of linger there for a bit occasionally.
Yeah.
So
To the end of our fiction, a few shout outs from me. Kristen Perrin, the How to Solve Your Own Murder, the Castle Knoll series. There's only 2 books out in that series. So good, cozy mystery books. Highly recommend. And then Remarkably by Creatures by Shelby Van Pelt. There is a movie coming out on that book, but such
beautiful
a
cover
feel
too.
good. Yes, such a feel good read. I don't have the sprayed edges of that one, unfortunately. But so good. And then,
Okay.
oh my gosh, I almost forgot because she's at the end. Ashley Winstead, again, for me, she's typically a thriller author. She has written one rom com, but a always will buy, must read. I think I have all of her books are hardcover, even though hardcover is probably not my first choice of books when I'm reading them. But I did her newest one coming out in February, which I got to read the arc for, is The Future Saints and Daisy Jones and the Six vibe. So if you liked that book, you will probably like this one. And if you didn't like that book, you might like this one because you either like Daisy Jones and the Six or you didn't.
I think that's it for fiction. Let's move on to fantasy.
Ta-da!
Fantasy shelves. So over here is obviously both of us love fantasy, and when we had our separate shelves before, that was the one shelf that we had combined, and all of our fantasy was on it, with the bigger books and longer series. Obviously, they can take up a lot of room, as I'm sure a lot of you know. And so, yeah, we'll start right here with Joe Abercrombie, one of my favorite authors, whether it's fantasy or in general. Love the first law. Love how he's continued the story from the first original trilogy and kept it going throughout and really expanded that universe and kept the continuity with the same characters. Um, then we'll go down here. I guess
Yeah,
we'll go ahead
sure.
and do Will of the Many.
Fantasy is, yes, fantasy is also where a lot of our buddy reads tend to lie, whether it's fantasy or sci-fi or magical realism. The Will of the Many was not technically a buddy read,
Right.
but the next book in the series, The Strength of the Few, that comes out in November, will be a buddy read for us. So we're really looking
Right. Yeah.
forward
So
to that.
I read Will of the Many when it came out. Loved it. Was my favorite book of that year. And honestly, I don't know if I've had a book that came out that I loved or rated that highly since then. So really looking forward to Strength of the Few, and to see where that goes. And then we'll just to go over this real quick. Everyone knows Wheel of Time. Rig, sorry, I don't have it complete yet. But still working on that. Really long series. The Dark Tower, that speaks for itself. I'm sure a lot of y'all have read or know Stephen King's magnum opus. You
And
can
there
talk a little
are
more.
some missing, as you can see. I do have quite a few of my fantasy books on loan right now to friends or coworkers. So a little missing gaps, but Sarah J. Moss is one of the goats for me. I think I have read and own most of what she's written. So uh, love her. I think, though, I enjoyed the Throne of Glass series better than I liked ACOTAR, just from a character development and story plot line. Also, maybe a little less spicy in the series in its entirety. And then my current read,
Right, I was going to mention that if
yes,
you didn't. So
is
perfect.
yeah, catabasis. We tell each other once a year. I don't know if we mentioned this in our intro
I don't think we
video.
did. So that was I was yeah gonna
Yeah,
good.
good. Same wavelength.
Yep.
Once a year, we get to tell each other one book to read, and the other one has to read it. So hopefully, it's one that we really
Right.
like.
We try to pick what we think the other person's gonna like. We're not trying to give I'm not trying to give you
Yeah.
something that you're gonna hate. but yeah, for her this year it was Catabasis. For me, it was a S.A. Cosby book, and um, yeah, so we got that, and then right next to it was our buddy read, our more than buddy
Mm-hmm.
read that we do once a year, and that was the book That Wouldn't Burn by Mark Lawrence, and we both loved it. It was really really cool to just at the end of the day when we would both get caught up to where each other were, and we would just sit in bed and just be like, oh, what do you think's going to happen here? What do you think is
Mm-hmm.
going on with this? And just trying to work through all of that was really a lot of fun. So
Yeah.
we had a lot of fun with that. We're excited to start the next book in that series. um, we have the sadly unfinished A Song of Ice and Fire, which when that came out, when I was in college, or actually, sorry, I'm not gonna date myself that much. Dance with Dragons came out when I was in college, so that was the last time a new book from that series has come out. That was, I don't know, close to 15 years ago. So I don't know if we'll ever get that finished, but loved that. We tore through those books when they were out, and yeah, let's
Yeah.
move on.
Move
Enough
on
from me.
to Harry Potter, which is probably a topic of probably a future video, or thinking about books that made us readers or kept us reading. And for sure, Harry Potter for me is one of those. I have it inked on my body, so that speaks to its
Right.
importance, I
Same
think.
with me for, and that's a great
Yeah.
transition to
Get
Tolkien
out of your way.
and the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings, um, all the other tales that his son has finished, and that was for me growing up my favorite for sure. What absolutely got me into being a reader and or a fantasy reader and just a reader in general. Love all those. These are my some of my favorite books that I have as far as like covers. I love this edition. Hopefully y'all can see that close enough, but love those and just love that series as a whole. Everything about it. Um,
Oh, and yeah,
so
and then so since Harry Potter, probably the next series of books that has gotten me super hype on world building and just those like feelings you get when you are just so deeply engrossed in a book would be Fourth Wing and the subsequent books that have followed. Although Fourth Wing in that series for me is like top tier. We'll finish the series. We'll read anything that she writes probably, but Fourth Wing for me was big.
all right, and then I guess all that's left is down here is just our little sci-fi section. I haven't gotten into much sci-fi other than Michael Crichton. I've always been a big fan. Loved the Jurassic Park books when I was younger, but recently one of my, if not my top series, and we'll see how it goes with the last one coming out in November, has been Sun Eater. And of course, my first Empire of Silence is loaned out right now, so I'll have to just pull out Howling Dark, which is fitting because it's probably been my favorite so far, just edging out Kingdoms of Death. But I've loved the series, read it all this year, and I'm a huge fan, and I can't wait for the gala in November with a bunch of book buddies to just go hang out, get that book signed copy, and meet people that I've talked to just on Discord, and as well as Dustin. So, all right. Well, anyway, that's
Shout
that.
out.
Yep.
Shout out to the Discord and Dustin. Yeah.
And then one last book to talk about.
Oh yeah.
This was our buddy read for last year,
Mm-hmm.
and
Man, that was last year.
yeah,
Feels like
time.
forever
Yeah,
ago. But
it's crazy. Time is
yeah, so just in
insane.
time to plug the movie
Right.
that's
Yeah, we
coming
saw
out.
that was coming out, so hopefully that'll be good. But
Yeah, that was a lot of science for me, but I typically don't read a ton of science fiction. I think Jay probably reads more in that genre, but just the way that Andy Weir presented that made it pretty easy to digest, as easy as like quantum physics can be
right.
digestible.
Yeah, and it was. I was a big fan of The Martian. Read that many years ago, so uh, awesome to jump into Andy Weir with you and check that out
Yeah.
last year.
Yeah. Also, lastly, shout out. I mean, I wish I could just like shout out all of the authors that I love, but TJ Klune also holds a really special place in my fantasy girl heart. I just love all of the representation in his books And I think in one of my reviews, I said that reading any of his books just feels like wrapping yourself in a big warm blanket. So shout out TJ
Who
Clean as
doesn't love
well.
that?
Yeah.
So that's a wrap for our fiction and fantasy bookshelves. Um,
Yeah. Thanks for hanging in there with
yeah,
us.
it was a
It's definitely it's a labor of love, and we have a lot more that we want to add and do to our bookshelf. So
we're
thanks for
getting there.
hanging in
Just
there.
like us with the videos, we're still it's a work in progress. So
For sure.
yep. So thank y'all so much. Please like and subscribe, all that fun stuff,
Yeah.
and we'll see you next time.